Hello, sixth graders. Today we are going to be trying to answer the question, what was important to King Hammurabi, by reading his laws or his Hammurabi's code. As I read, I'm going to be thinking about a few questions. Who wrote this? Where did they write it? When did they write it? And why did they write it? So let's start reading, thinking about these 4 questions. Head note. This is an introduction. That's what head note means. The laws of Hammurabi are Babylonian laws from ancient Mesopotamia. They are carved on a tall black stone monument and were created around 1750 BCE. That's before the year 0. Hammurabi was the 6th ruler of the first dynasty of Babylon. As king, he expanded the Babylonian Empire and organized a government and a military. Wow, he was powerful. The laws include an introduction or a prologue, around 275 laws, and a conclusion or an epilogue. A few of the laws are listed below. I'm going to pause now that I've read the head note or the introduction, and I'm going to ask myself, who wrote this? I noticed that Hammurabi wrote it, so I'm going to highlight that. And next to it, I'm going to write who? King Hammurabi. My next question is, where did King Hammurabi write this? Where did he write this? I'm thinking probably in ancient Mesopotamia. So I'm going to write where? Mesopotamia, the land between 2 rivers. When did Hammurabi write these laws? When did he write these laws? 1750 BCE. Again, that's before the year 0. When? That's almost 4,000 years ago. My last question is, why did he write these laws? Why do you think he wrote these laws? Well, I'm thinking that because they're laws, he wrote them to try and organize his government, his military, and his people. Because that's usually why you write laws, to organize people, to help make sure that everyone is safe. Okay, let's continue and read some of the actual laws that he wrote. As I read, I'm going to be thinking about this question. What was important to King Hammurabi? Let's start with the prologue. And as I read, I'm thinking, what was important to King Hammurabi? Prologue. At that time, the gods Anu and Enlil, for the well-being of the people, named me, King Hammurabi, by my name, Hammurabi, the holy prince, who respects the gods, to make justice triumph in the land, to stop the wicked and the evil, to prevent the strong from oppressing or taking advantage of the weak, to rise like the sun god Shamash over all humankind, to illuminate the land. I am Hammurabi, the shepherd, selected by the god Enlil, who brings wealth and plenty, who perfects every possible thing, the capable king. As you're reading this, what do you think might be important to King Hammurabi? One thing that seems like it's important to him is the gods, making sure everyone knows that the gods picked him, making sure people know that he's holy, he's important. That seems important to him. It also seems like justice is important to him, because he talks a lot about wicked and evil and making sure that strong people don't take advantage of weak people. So I'm thinking that the gods are important to him, and also justice and making sure that evil loses and good wins. Let's keep reading. Laws. Here's one of his laws. Notice we're not going to read all 175, just a few of them. Number 1, if a man accuses another man and charges him with murder, but cannot bring proof against him, his accuser shall be killed. So in other words, if I say, everyone, Mr. Cabot killed Mr. Slay, but I don't have proof, the person who has to be killed is me because I made an accusation without proof. What does that tell you is important to King Hammurabi? One thing that seems it's important to him is proof. If you're going to accuse someone of something, you got to have proof. Let's look at this next law, 25. If a slave woman curses someone acting with the authority of her mistress, they shall scrub her mouth with 1 selah or liter of salt. Ooh, that does not sound pleasant. So if I'm a slave and I say something bad about the person who owns me, then my mouth has to get scrubbed out with salt. What does that tell you is important to King Hammurabi? This makes me think that something important to him might be like obeying people with more power. I bet there are other inferences you could make too. Law number 55, if a man opens an irrigation gate and releases water and allows the water to carry away whatever work has been done in his neighbor's field, he shall measure and deliver 3,000 selahs of grain per 18 acres. So if my water that I'm putting in my kind of pool that I'm saving, if I mess up and that water floods my neighbor's crops or my neighbor's food and corn, then I have to give my neighbor a bunch of corn or grain. What does that tell you is important to Hammurabi? Let's go to the next law. If a man plans to divorce his first wife who did not bear him children, he shall give her silver as much as her bride wealth, and he shall divorce her. But if she's a commoner or doesn't have as much power, he'll only give her 20 shekels of silver. What does this tell you is important to King Hammurabi? It seems like one thing that's important is that wives have to give their husbands children. I'm also noticing that it seems like he might have different laws for people depending on their social status. I might write social status here. This next law, 195, is a favorite. If a child should strike his father, they shall cut off his hand. Woof! What does that tell you is important to King Hammurabi? If I hit my dad, my hand gets cut off. Law 196. If an awilu, or a nobleman with a lot of power, should blind the eye of another awilu, then he'll lose his eye. Well, that seems to suggest to me that fairness is important to him. If I blind your eye, then I lose my eye. But wait, there's more. If the awilu with a lot of money blinds the eye of a commoner or breaks his bone, then he only has to weigh and deliver 60 shekels of silver. Wow, that's crazy. So if I blind the eye of another awilu, then I lose my eye. But if it's a commoner or someone with less money, then all I have to do is give them silver. That is definitely telling me that social class is important to him, or social structure. He thinks that some people are more important than others, which is not a value that I agree with today, but this was 4,000 years ago. Epilogue. This is what he wrote at the end of his laws. These are the fair decisions which Hammurabi, the able king, has established and thereby has directed the land along the course of truth and the correct way of life. What seems important to him there? Let any wronged man who has a lawsuit come before the statue of me, the king of justice. That's what we saw yesterday, that tall stele. And let him have read my laws aloud to him. Thus he may hear my precious pronouncements and let my laws reveal the lawsuit for him. May he examine his case. May he calm his troubled heart, and may he praise me. What do you think is important to Hammurabi based on this? Today we read Hammurabi's laws. We started by reading the head note or the introduction and thinking about who wrote the laws, where they were written, when they were written, and why they were written. Then we read the actual laws themselves, and we thought about what was important to King Hammurabi. And there was a lot of things you could have said. The gods, people knowing that the gods picked him, making sure that bad loses and good wins, making sure that people have proof, that we obey people with more power, that we make sure that we are taking care of our food supply, that women have children, but that women with more social status get more than women who don't have as much social status, that kids should respect their dads, that an Awilu is worth more than a commoner. What things do you think were the most important to Hammurabi based on these laws that you saw? Tomorrow we'll write those things down and we'll think about if these laws are a reliable source for answering this question, what was important to King Hammurabi? See you tomorrow.